Have you ever tried to have the simplest possible conversation with a covert narcissist, only to walk away met with defensiveness, guilt trips, or somehow wearing all the blame yourself? No matter how carefully you approach it, no matter how good your intentions are, you end up going in circles, more frustrated by the minute, and somehow you're the villain of the story. I'm Mr. Shelby, therapist, author, and life coach. And today I'm sharing 7 strategies for dealing with a covert narcissist in a way that protects your energy and your sanity. Before we get into it, I want to be clear that these strategies are built specifically for covert narcissists, not grandiose narcissists, sociopaths, or other personality disorders. And yes, obviously, the cleanest way to protect yourself from a covert narcissist is to leave and go no contact. But I know that's not always realistic. Maybe there's a trauma bond, maybe you're co-parenting, maybe something else keeps you tied to them. So these strategies are meant to help you manage your side of the interaction and minimize the emotional damage, especially when walking away isn't currently on the table. 1. Drastically lower your expectations around accountability. We all struggle sometimes to admit we're wrong or to see another person's side. But a covert narcissist genuinely lacks the capacity for real accountability. They might appear to apologize only to pivot into blaming you in the very next breath. Genuine ownership of a mistake would mean admitting they're not perfect and not always the victim. And that's something they can't tolerate. So any conversation touching your needs, your feelings, or their own mistakes turns into a minefield of denial, deflection, minimizing, justifying, blame shifting, or outright gaslighting. Bring solid evidence to confront an issue, and they'll either dismiss it outright, twist it to paint you as unreasonable or controlling, or simply shut down and give you the silent treatment. That stonewalling is a classic move. Instead of engaging, they withdraw emotionally, freezing you out as a way to punish you and reassert control, flipping the script so you feel like the one causing problems. So drop the expectation of accountability entirely. Understand that in their world, they are almost never wrong, and I mean that close to literally maybe 98% of the time. If you're seeing something closer to a 70-30 split where they do occasionally own their part, you might not actually be dealing with a true covert narcissist, because a genuine one sees the world entirely through a victim lens, with everyone else permanently at fault. Ask yourself honestly what the odds are that you're really always the one in the wrong. And understand that no matter how airtight your case is, it won't matter. The conversation will spiral until you're somehow holding the blame while they walk away feeling like the wrong party once again. 2. Don't take the emotional bait. Covert narcissists are skilled at laying emotional traps designed to provoke a reaction. Passive-aggressive comments, guilt trips, subtle digs, meant to pull you into defending yourself. Don't take it. Learn to recognize when they're spoiling for a fight. And instead of stepping into the ring, step back and refuse to hand them your emotional reaction. Know going in that if you don't play along, you'll likely be accused of being cold, distant, selfish, or uncaring. That's simply the next rung of the manipulation designed to pull you back in. Here's how it might play out. Say your covert narcissist partner is in a mood and starts complaining about crumbs left on the counter. You apologize and clean it up. But that small complaint snowballs into accusations that you're messy and inconsiderate. Maybe even something like, I shouldn't have to tell you these things. It's like you're another child in this house. If you still don't bite, they might escalate to comparison. Why can't you be more like so-and-so? Specifically engineered to make you feel inadequate. And if that doesn't land either, expect it to climb further. Oh, so you're just going to walk away? Real mature. None of this was ever really about the crumbs. It's about pinning their unhappiness on you and shaming you for falling short of some standard you were never told about. And here's the twist. Even if you try to smooth things over with a sincere apology and an offer to do better, that just opens the door to a longer list of complaints and demands. Or they might dismiss the gesture entirely with something like, if I have to tell you what to do, it doesn't even count. The goal was never a resolved conversation. It's projecting their shame onto you so they can keep validating their own victim story. 3. Skip the advice and solutions. When a covert narcissist comes to you seemingly asking for advice or your honest opinion, understand that it's usually another trap. They're not actually looking for a solution, especially not one that implies they hold any responsibility for the problem. What they actually want is sympathy and validation of their victim narrative, confirmation that they're right, everyone else is wrong, and life has simply been unfair to them. Any real suggestion you offer will likely be read as criticism, even when your intention was purely to help. The one exception, soothing them with something of material value might buy you a temporary pass, and they may act appreciative in the moment, mostly as a way to keep you invested and reinforce their story in a way that benefits them. Outside of that, constructive feedback tends to get twisted into an accusation that you're not on their side or don't have the emotional capacity to support them. The only way the conversation goes smoothly is if it revolves entirely around them, with you working to affirm their victimhood and soothe their ego. Even a genuinely perfect solution isn't what's being asked for. Only validation is. And if you don't deliver it exactly right, they'll turn elsewhere for it and cast you as the partner who failed them, the one who couldn't meet their needs, blamed for whatever is going wrong in their life next. 4. Let them believe they're in control. Covert narcissists need to feel superior and in control, so direct confrontation usually just breeds more conflict. A more effective approach is often to let them believe they're steering the ship and winning, while you quietly hold on to your own autonomy behind the scenes. That means choosing your battles carefully and framing things so it feels like the idea was theirs all along. When they feel like they're already in control, they have less incentive to escalate their tactics to put you back in your place. 5. Detach from their approval. Covert narcissists are experts at getting you hooked on their validation. Early on, they shower you with affection and attention, making you feel uniquely special and needed. And once you're attached to that feeling, they start rationing it out to control you. Over time, you may find yourself bending over backwards for small scraps of approval, even while being treated poorly most of the time. As long as your self-worth is tied to their mood and their approval, you'll stay under their influence. Every so often, they'll dole out a dose of affection just strong enough to remind you how good it used to feel, convincing you that if you could just get it right, things could go back to how they were. But there is no getting it right. The more you chase it, the more of your confidence and sense of self you'll lose. Try to stop feeding off their validation altogether, and when it does show up, see it for what it is. A tactic to keep you tethered and keep them feeling secure and in control. 6. Set boundaries and hold them covert. Narcissists push boundaries in subtle increments. A little more of your time, energy, money, or emotional investment at each opportunity, rather than a full-on assault the way a grandiose narcissist might attempt. Because it happens gradually, you might not even notice how much ground you've given up. As uncomfortable as it can feel to hold a firm line, it's important to notice when you're the only one compromising, while they never budge an inch. You'll likely be shocked at the double standards involved. They expect full compliance from you while always having a justifiable reason to resist what you need in return. And if you push back, they'll flip it to make you feel selfish for wanting any balance at all. Once you're clear on your own boundaries, it's up to you whether to flex on them occasionally. Just don't expect the same flexibility in return. And pay attention to how their excuses for breaking commitments are always valid, while yours never seem to be. For example, say your partner shows up 30 minutes late to a date with no warning, brushing it off as getting caught up at work. You mentioned you would have liked a heads-up call, and suddenly the whole date is ruined because now they feel like you have no empathy for their work stress. A week later, you're 5 minutes late because of traffic. You called to warn them, but they missed it. And they're furious, insisting you have no respect for their time, as if last week never happened. When they cross a boundary, is completely understandable. When you do, even to a much smaller degree, is treated like the end of the world. 7. Talk to people outside the relationship. Dealing with a covert narcissist can leave you questioning your own sense of reality, which is exactly why it helps to talk things through with trusted friends, family, or a therapist. People who can offer clarity and validate what you're actually experiencing away from the narcissist's ongoing spin. You might even use an AI tool to get a more objective outside perspective. What matters most is trusting the people who genuinely have your best interests at heart rather than the story the narcissist keeps trying to sell you. Staying calm, refusing the bait, and taking ownership of only your own reactions is far easier said than done when you're up against this kind of dynamic, and it takes real ongoing effort. If you feel stuck in this cycle and ready for a way out, consider reaching out to a mental health professional in your area who specializes in narcissistic abuse. I hope this was useful. If it was, please like, comment, and subscribe, and check the link above to learn more about the tactics and mind games of a female covert narcissist.